Hey everyone, this is Miss Krumholtz. I'm here to help you draw your onions today. You should have a photo like the one you see here. First step that you really want to do is get a piece of paper. You can use, if you have sketchbook paper, copy paper. You're going to hold it landscape, which means the long way. And you're going to look at the shape of the onions first. So we're going to draw both. You're going to draw a nice big sort of oval and then the shape underneath here. So you're going to put these side by side. You can also use just my video in general will help you. So I had sort of sketched out the shape of the onion. Then I'm going to look at the onion next to that. And I'm not getting into detail. I'm just sketching an overall shape. Okay. And then you also want to include those cast shadows. So you want to include these shadows here so that they're not floating onions. Okay, so you really want to kind of get those shapes. You can use a mechanical pencil to sketch it out if you need. And once you have just the general shape, you drew nice and big here. I'm using an ebony pencil, which is meant for shading. You can use, a regular number 2 pencil is fine also. Just make sure that you do not use a mechanical pencil in order to shade. You don't want to use a mechanical because they're not meant for that. Before we start that shading, I want you to add in shapes of those light and dark areas. Anyone that's been in my class before, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those highlights. Okay, and now I can kind of get into more detail here. So I'm just sort of breaking it down into different shapes of dark and light. I'm adding in some line detail. I'm defining my edges a little bit better. Okay, and then I can just sort of, now these don't need to be exact. You're just gonna kind of give a sense of the skin of the onion and like the ribs that you see in it, but it doesn't need to be exact. Now I'm gonna go for the inside of this onion. I'm gonna start at the center. So you have a shape that looks like this and sort of this one right here. I'm gonna focus on that first. Sort of this oval shape, and it sort of looks like a teardrop. And then I'm gonna do the shape next to it. Sort of like a smaller. Now these aren't perfectly circular if you look close, but what I want to look at is the spacing between each ridge. And the center of it is not directly in the center, it's a little bit up. Okay, so just make sure. This doesn't need to be exact, we're just really kind of trying to get an idea. You can count the rings if you want. I think I counted 6, maybe it's 7. So you just want to get a general idea. The spacing is going to be bigger on this side than this side because we're not looking from a frontal view. We're looking from what's called a 3/4 view. Okay. So we just want to kind of, here is where it is actually cut in half. Here is the skin. And this is my cast shadow. Okay, over towards the edge here, we have like kind of an overlapping, and then again is over here towards the edge. So I'm gonna add an extra one. And again, if this is not perfect, nobody's really gonna know. It's still gonna look like an onion. So once you have your outline and then you've done your details, now you can go in and you really wanna put these side by side. That's what I always do. I always teach this, you guys know. And you want to follow. Start in one area and follow little by little, using the pressure on the pencil. Where areas are dark, you're going to press harder. You want to keep your pencil sharp. You want to hold it on its side so that you don't get lines, right? We want this to look like a real onion. And I'm just slowly sort of working my way down. Okay. So you have different tones of gray. Where it gets lighter gray, you're going to hold your pencil on its side and use less pressure. areas that are white, you're gonna leave white on the paper. So notice. And you also wanna kind of curl or curve your shading around the form. So this kind of goes around like this. So I'm gonna shade that way. It just helps it to look even more three-dimensional. So the goal is to match the different values. So again, where it gets dark, you are applying more pressure. You are going in the direction of the onion itself. Okay, if you start to get lines of your shading, just means you got to spend more time. Okay, so everything should sort of blend. Okay, so that's how you would do this area. You would leave this light. So in other words, you would shade up to here. It does get slightly lighter. It goes from dark. Notice I'm holding my pencil on its side. You're definitely going to go all the way to that edge. See how you can see this line here where it goes from dark to light? It just means that I'm missing a value. I'm missing a tone. So I just have to spend more time to blend that. And the longer you go over it, the more blended it will become. This area in here, aside from a few little ridges, you're just gonna leave white. Okay, because that's the way it looks in the picture. Okay, so you're gonna shade all around here. For this onion, you're just going in. Now the first thing that you wanna do is darken the spaces in and around those ridges, okay? And again, this does not need to be completely perfect. We just want it to resemble an onion. And if you look, there are sections where it's thinner and then it gets sort of thicker. That's just the gradation of like the way that the onion folds are, the way that the onion was cut. So it shouldn't be perfect. It should be imperfect. Okay, so you're just gonna go in and darken. You know, certain spots have like I said, these bigger sections of dark. Okay, so you would do this entire one. Notice they start to get closer together. Again, that's because of the point of view, the angle that these are at. So they will start to get closer together here. They'll be further apart here. If there is spacing where you don't see so much dark, you're not gonna put that much dark in. So like an area over here, I can just erase out just to give an idea that that's where it is, but it's much lighter. The skin is probably going to be, let's see, probably like a level 3 or 4. There is a highlight here. So as you go to that edge, you're gonna apply less pressure. As you go closer here, you're gonna apply more pressure. Okay. So again, I'm doing this pretty quick. You guys want to definitely spend more time. This should take you probably double the amount of time it's taking for me. Darker shadow here. So what do I have to do? I have to kind of darken this area with more pressure. And then when you do your shadows, we call these our cast shadows for those new people. As you move away from the object, the shadow gets duller and fuzzier. So you're going to apply less pressure. Shadows only go left to right on a plane because it's on a flat surface. If you do it up and down, it tends to look like water. So you want to make sure that it stays left to right. You're applying more pressure. It's probably the darkest part of the object. And again, this is called your cast shadow. So we're just trying to mimic that, you know, the best that you can. Okay, and you also want to apply the shadow here on this one as well. And that shadow is going to be done in this direction, left to right, never up and down. So once you get this area all completed in here, I would leave a very, very pale shading, like a level 2, very light. I would leave the center lighter, so you're almost just gonna let it fade. I don't know if you can really see. It basically like fades to a white. I would just do this one side and sort of fade. In the center, I would let it be white. I would leave this white. You know, so you're gonna sort of take your time to make this look like the one in the picture. Okay, I can check these in class. Good luck, guys. You know the steps to take. If you've been with me before, this should be a piece of cake. Good luck. I can't wait to see them.